Hey loves, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are a day one subscriber, welcome back and thank you so much for coming to show your girl some love and support. If you are a newbie, welcome and thank you for joining this beautiful family. And if you're not subscribed, please make sure to hit the subscribe button right now. So as you guys can see by the title of today's video, I have partnered with Maven once again to bring you guys a little bit of a brush guide. They do have an amazing brush set, I will link down below in the description box, and you guys can also get details about on screen. This set basically comes with every single brush you can imagine, every single brush that you need to complete a full face. It is also a very beginner friendly brush set, which is something that a lot of people struggle with when it comes to purchasing brush sets. What I love about this brush set is that it literally has a description of what each brush is supposed to do on the actual brush. So you guys will see here, this says all over cream brush, meaning that you can use it for anything and everything cream related on the face. And then another example, what we have over here is the contour fan brush, and as you guys can see by the shape of the brush, it is designed to get into the dips of the face, which is suitable for contouring. So how this video is going to go is that I'm going to be sitting here and talking you guys through the various steps that I used to achieve this look in reference to the brushes, because I want you guys to know exactly which brush is for which purpose on the face, and why it is important to use every single brush for a specific technique. If you guys are keen to find out how to use brushes, and if you guys are keen to find out more about these Maven brushes in particular, then please do keep on watching this video. Once again, if you're not subscribed, do hit the subscribe button. Yeah, let's get into it. So as you guys can see, I started off with a clean canvas. I went in with a mattifying primer just to prep my skin for foundation. But before I went in with foundation, I did use a foundation stick, which is about 2 or 3 shades darker than me and does have a warm undertone, and I use that as a corrector instead of going in with a orange corrector. To blend the concealer, I use this detailed buffing brush from Maven. I felt that this was the perfect brush to use because it does have a flat top. Never mind the fact that it does have a triangle shape, which means that it's also something that's perfect to use under your eyes if you are trying to blend out your liquid highlighter, or in any other areas of the face that require a lot of attention to detail and precision. I think this would be the perfect brush. This is the detailed buffing brush from Maven. Next, we went in for foundation, and the foundation brush I used is the angled buffing brush. It has a slight angle, as you guys can see. The brush does go up slightly. However, I don't feel this is something that can benefit your foundation blending technique, because foundation is very straight to the point, all over the face. If you don't want to use this brush in particular, there is another blending brush from Maven that I spotted earlier. This is the all over cream brush. This is also something that you can use for foundation if you are not interested in using the angled buff. Another thing you can use the angled buff for is for blending out cream contour. After foundation, I did highlight the face, highlighted, and I blended that out with a beauty blender, and then I set with a loose powder. And then now we're going to move on to brows. The next thing that requires a brush in the brow application technique is definitely blending out your concealer. What I did use for concealer is this concealer blending brush from Maven. I love how straightforward the names are on these brushes, which makes it perfect and easy to use for beginners. The shape of this brush, as you guys can see, is angled. This is a very dense brush, which makes it great for blending liquid product, and that's why I used it for my concealer, and it is a concealer blending brush, so it works perfectly. Next up, we moved on to eyeshadow. To apply my crease color, which is an eyeshadow that I use from one of my Maven palettes, I did go in with the full crease as well as the eyeshadow blending brush. These are the two brushes that I used, and I was rotating between the two for the color that I used on my crease. As you guys can see, they blended out the makeup so well, and I sort of like to rotate between the two simply because I found that this smaller one was great for actually placing the product in my crease, and then this bigger one, which is the eyeshadow blending brush, was great for blending. And then same thing, once I got to a point where I was cutting my crease, I used the full crease brush to then blend the outer corners and sort of blend the concealer into the eyeshadow just to create a nice gradient effect. Moving on to cutting our actual crease, the two brushes that I went in with is the cream eyeshadow brush as well as the flat concealer brush. This was the perfect brush. The shape is great for cutting creases, and if you are someone who is a beginner, this is the ideal shape you should go for because it is a dome shaped brush, meaning it does have that round tip and it is also flat. And if you guys think about it, this is exactly the shape that you're going for when you are cutting your crease. And then I used the cream eyeshadow brush to sort of tap off any excess product because we don't want our concealer to crease underneath our eyeshadow, of course. The brush I am going in with for placing my lighter color on top of my cut crease is the small cream eyeshadow brush. I know sometimes brushes may have a certain name, which obviously indicates what the use is of the brush or the ideal purpose of the brush. But once you get to know your face and understand how to use makeup, you don't necessarily have to strictly stick to that. You sort of discover what works for you for which technique, and that's when you freestyle. I felt this brush was perfect because it is slightly fluffy, it is flat, and it is a dome shape as well, which is great for applying color on top of your cut crease. Moving on to the lower lash line, I went in with the defined eyeshadow brush. This is the perfect shape for blending out any eyeshadow on your lower lash line. If you are someone who is smoking out the lower lash line, I would always recommend that you go in with a neutral, nudie, plummy color, depending on what complements what you've done on your actual lids, before you go in with your black eyeshadow. And then of course, when you're blending out your black eyeshadow, you want to go in with something a little bit more round and a little bit more dense because you want to control how far down you blend the product. So lower lash line brushes, I'd highly recommend these two. The defined eyeshadow brush, I use this for the actual blending process, and then I use a detailed crease brush just to highlight the inner corners of my eyes and just to awaken the eyes and bring in that pop. If you guys are interested to know which lashes I used, I did use the Maven lashes in the make number 6. These are 100% vegan, cruelty-free lashes, and I really like how they look. I feel like they're perfect for like daytime natural makeup because they're not too much. They do have a slight mink 3D effect. Moving on to the next step, I am using the refined powder brush just to dust off the loose setting powder under my eyes. The bristles are extremely soft, it's not too dense, so it's not going to affect or move around the makeup that I have underneath. Another thing you must remember about makeup is that you are applying a product on top of a product on top of another, and you don't necessarily want to be using brushes or any beauty blender that's going to disturb how the rest of your makeup is sitting. This is also the kind of brush I'd keep in my handbag whenever I need to touch up. I love that it has a slightly round or pointed tip, which makes it great for getting right underneath the eyes. And one thing about me as a girl with oily skin, I always have to have a powder in my handbag because give me 2 or 3 hours and I'm looking like a disco ball, and that's not cute. After having done that, we now moved on to contouring the face, and to contour the face I did use the all over powder brush. The name is pretty self-explanatory. You can use it all over your face for any purpose at all, and it is a bigger version of the refined powder brush, and I always prefer to go in with a bigger version or a big fluffy brush when it comes to contour because I want to be able to blend my contour out properly. The more detailed or precise a brush is, less chance you have of achieving a very flawless or beautiful blend. So that's something you must always bear in mind, especially when working with a powder contour. Over here we also have the full coverage powder brush as well as the control contour brush. If you are someone who wants to use a concealer to contour first before setting with the powder, this is most likely what you'd go in with for blending. As you guys can see, this is the kind of brush that is ideal for blending out any liquid contour products like cream and then you want to lock all of that in and sort of set it with a powder, and I would recommend that you use the all over powder. Now moving on to nose contour, I did use the all over eyeshadow brush. I felt this was the most ideal out of the set for my nose contour. There are other brushes that you could probably use, such as the angled eyeshadow brush. For blush, I am going in with the angled brush. You guys know this is very standard. Angled brush is the best when it comes to blush application, simply because of the placement. The last but not least step, we are now applying highlighter all over the face. With highlighter, firstly, you're gonna need a brush that is very precise for highlighting your brown bone as well as the bridge of nose, and the brush I went in with for that is the detailed eye brush. I felt this was perfect. It does have a very small tip. It is a great shape. It's also quite dense, which is nice for brow bone highlight, because you always want it to be a little bit more intense than you'd want your cheek, because you want that area to pop. So I loved working with this. And then for highlighting my cheek area as well as my chin and my cupid's bow and a little bit on my forehead, I did go in with the all over fan brush. I felt this was most suitable for my powder highlight. Bristles are very soft yet also extremely dense, so just be careful about how much pressure you apply on the actual brush when you are then blending in your highlight. You never want it to look streaky, so the less pressure you apply, the closest to the end you hold your brush, the better for you. So that is it for all the brushes that I did use on my face. The brush set does consist of 30 brushes, so you guys can already imagine you are honestly purchasing one set which has every single brush that you need to complete a full face. This is something that's suitable for freelance makeup artists. If you're someone who works on people's faces, it's also very suitable for someone who's working on their face, someone who experiments a lot with makeup, someone who plays around with eyeshadow, and also just someone who's trying to, you know, improve their skills and sort of gain more knowledge about makeup. And this is the packaging that the brushes come in if you are going to be ordering them. I thought this is so cute. I love how you can zip it up and the shape changes into something a little bit more compact and travel friendly. If you guys would like to purchase any of the Maven products that I did use on my face, check the description box down below. I did list all the products as well as the links. There's also details on the brushes. Do check them out. These are amazing quality brushes. They are also very beautiful, aesthetically pleasing, and as I mentioned earlier, they are perfect for anybody who's trying to up their makeup skills, or if you're just a makeup enthusiast, this is convenient and this is a must-have. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I hope you found it informative. Don't forget to give it a very big thumbs up. Share the video if you can. Subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Stay blessed and beautiful.